Bringing out my 1977 John Travolta Staying Alive. Good morning, everybody. It is 47 minutes after the hour. Hope you guys haven't melted yet. Hope you're doing all right. I'm wave meteorologist Brian Goode. Welcome to the blog today, where we have a chance to look at our current weather headlines and take a look at the long term, which we'll do both of here over the next 20 minutes. Hope you guys, again, had a good weekend. Try to stay cool. I see everyone either loving it. If you have a pool especially, you're in great shape. This is your perfect kind of weather. If you don't have a pool, then it's you're just sitting around the AC, right, the whole time and just waiting and to maybe go out in the evening hours. I'm in that boat. All I have is a pond. Now, my animals are loving it, especially my turtles. They are all enjoying swimming around. Even the water's getting a little warm even for them. And then, of course, Harry, my tortoise, is doing fantastic because this is, right up his alley here for a more tropical type environment in the heat, and is taking care of my yard, making sure that I don't have to ever mow ever again. So anyway, there are some benefits to it. My neighbors have a pool. They're certainly enjoying it as of late. I think there's been a pool party every day. I'm a little jealous. So there are ways to cool down. Otherwise, you're right. I hope that you're able to stay cool inside the AC. And hope your AC is working and have access to it, because not everybody has that access to it, and gives you a chance to catch up on all the movies and TV shows, right? So good morning to everyone. ZK, hello to Karen. Hello to Michelle. Everyone's on YouTube and Facebook and on X this morning, so I appreciate it. Now, here's the deal. We're going to cover the heat aspect, of course, but I do want to also mention the thunderstorm potential that we're going to see mixed into some of these headlines, and I'll give you a bit of a sneak look there at the 4th of July trends that I'm noticing as well. All right, let's get right to it. Let's start first off with the heat outside. This is the latest look at our numbers over the past several days. We had, of course, a couple of 94s took place. It's the hottest so far this year, which is, I would say, about 4, maybe 5 above normal. So nothing too excessive and certainly not record-breaking. But the heat wave almost got started there on Friday, but was definitely felt Saturday and Sunday. The heat index in Louisville got up to about 102 at times here this weekend. Several spots, about 103. Was reached, and I don't know if we're going to get to the threshold of a heat advisory technically of 105, but they've issued the heat advisory, as you're about to see, mainly because of what we talked about last week. It's the lack of recovery. It's not so much the high point that this heat and the heat index is getting to, because we beat this even last summer already, but it's the idea you can't recover at night. And speaking of that, last year we had a low in Louisville, which was one of our records, of 83 degrees at night. So it wasn't that long ago. It was the end of August last year. What I try to remind everyone is what stands out about this particular surge of heat is that it is ahead of schedule. Typically, when you get to the first day of summer, that is the point where we are maxed out with our sun potential for the day. But there is a lag in seasons, roughly about 30 to 45 days it happens. Once you pass that point, then the Earth reacts to it, which is why the first day of winter is in December, but we usually don't get cold until January and February. Same with summer. We're our closest point as far as leaning toward the sun in June on the summer solstice, but we don't normally feel the heat until July and August. So there's usually a lag. So the idea that we're getting the heat right at the exact same time that it's happening with the solstice is that's what stands out a little more. So that's why it's getting a little more attention, right? So there's the stretch of 90s. Technically, we once we cross 90 today, it will be a heat wave. The unofficial ruling that we go by is 3 days of 90 and above consecutively. So we should technically be able to call it that. But now it's just we're decorating it, making it look pretty at this point. So where do we go from here? Well, today obviously is going to be another hot one for us. Here are the numbers coming in right now. 83 degrees in Louisville. Let me see. I don't know if I put a feels like temperature in. You know what? I don't think I did. So hold on one second. I think I had that. If not, I can get that on there for you guys. But 83 now. That is running actually about almost 2 degrees lower than we were yesterday at this time. And we hit 94 yesterday. So now here's the question. Is the ground getting to the point now where it is starting to to dry out. If so, then we're going to see the numbers exceed now that 94-degree high. We won't know that until just really a couple more hours to see whether or not that the ground's getting dry enough that the thermometer will inch upward. If we end up with 94 again today, that means that the green environment that we've had, the lush green environment, is winning out and keeping us from getting too much higher than that 94, probably for the rest of the week. But we'll see. Today is going to be kind of a deciding point how that plays out. All right, 83 now in Louisville, but now let me show you the heat index. 88 in Louisville. It's already heat index at 94, which is probably going a little hot there into Jeffersonville. Bardstown coming in at 90 and 88 in Hardinsburg. Madison, Indiana, your feels like temperature is 91 at the moment. Get heat indices today getting up there between 100 and 105. Okay, so what about a chance to get maybe a downpour? Well, there is a weak boundary. You can even see a hint of it right here on the visible satellite. This boundary, you have to look at it more in a linear fashion. So it looks more like this. This is drifting toward the Ohio River right now, and it's going to be sitting right here between, I would say, Prospect, Fern Creek zone, somewhere in that area, in eastern side of Jefferson County, and draped all the way through Breckenridge County. And this is where it will be taking a nap. The question is, will it wake up? And if it does wake up, then you could get a quick hitting thunderstorm this afternoon that may just come out of nowhere. So you won't get too much of a heads up because it'll develop rapidly. And it will not move very much, as I'll show you why here in a second. But there is at least some sort of a trigger in the area today. This could also keep us from getting to the forecast high of 96, as if we end up with a thunderstorm at 3 in the afternoon, that's enough to mess up the sensor at the airport and reset it, right? So it's big asterisks on the forecast. You guys know how this goes. So again, an isolated shower or a thunderstorm possible today. I'll show you some of the soundings on that in a second. Let's get to a wider view, and you can see otherwise very, very quiet. I mean, the high pressure is obviously in control of much of the eastern United States. Any lift in the main boundary itself, something a little more substantial than a weak outflow in the area, is way back here into the upper Midwest. And that's where it's going to stay until the upcoming weekend. And then we'll likely see a change kick in. Here are the heat alerts across the eastern United States. I like how St. Louis does their excessive or their extreme heat warning just for the metro. I think that's kind of what Louisville would have benefited from. I think it would have been easier for a lot of us to understand, because the city, especially, it's still tougher to get below 80. But outlying areas and in general in the countryside, you don't get as hot as the city does, right? So I think a separate alert for the city would work. But anyway, the East Coast, just because of the effect that you get with the wind flow coming down from the Appalachians, even though the Appalachians are not very tall, it is still a downsloping event. So the air heats as you get into the areas along I-95, and the amount of moisture too from the Atlantic can get trapped here. So the humidity is very, very high, typically in the I-95 corridor. If you ever spent the summer in the Carolinas, especially Columbia, South Carolina, I've been to a few times in the summertime, and whew, I don't think I've ever felt humidity like I did in Columbia. And I complain about the humidity here a lot. I'm telling you, in Columbia, there's like no wind at all whatsoever, and the heat index is about 115. It was awful. So I get why they have the heat alerts here, because it just really is much more of a miserable setup. At least we've had some wind the past couple of afternoons. Yeah, it moves our sweat around. Just blows it around from one side of the body to the other. Right, that's fine. But it's wind. And that's typical whenever you get into the hotter part of the days. There's a bit of a breeze that develops. So I think that's not too bad. If you can stay in the shade and feel a little bit of that wind, it makes it a lot more tolerable. I can't say it right. Tolerable. There you go. It's Monday. In the actual Columbia, but it's really humid. Yes, thank you, Carrie. Yes, in the actual Columbia. But I'm referring to Columbia, South Carolina, which, they'd probably be the same. Probably be the same kind of heat effect. Okay, so that's the heat eastern side of the country. Let me show you the official alerts for Louisville, and we're going to be hearing about this. I mean, Adair County, I'm not sure why you guys are left out in the cold, no pun intended, but you're the only ones not under an alert for heat advisory, but you're still going to be hot and humid. But in general, it covers just about everyone all the way through. Tomorrow, will this get extended to Wednesday and Thursday? Well, I think they're waiting to see what today does with the amount of greenery and whether or not we reach that limit or exceed it today. And if we exceed it, then they're going to extend this out till at least Thursday, maybe Friday. Not a shocker. It's just heat. Get used to it on a daily basis, unfortunately. Okay, so let me show you the heat index forecast. This is actually from the Euro, and I think it does a really good job. It's done fairly well so far. So it's got us close to 100, maybe a touch above that today, 103 tomorrow, 102 on Wednesday. And you see that even though we do improve it toward the approach of the weekend, it doesn't really shake completely until something happens here Monday and Tuesday. It's pretty evident. And that is going to be our main front to watch. Yeah, we're going to get some shower and thunderstorm activity. It could be what we call an MCS form, a complex of storms that may drop in at times this weekend, but there's really no front that moves in this weekend. So if the thunderstorms avoid our area or your area in particular, then you will recover and be just as hot as you were all week long. You will see no change. It will take a change of wind direction and a change in humidity levels to really shake this heat wave up. And that looks to be about a week from today. So we still got a while to go. So while we may improve the actual numbers at times this weekend because of showers and storms, it is still going to be very much on the humid and tropical side, especially even for overnight lows. Okay, so here's the sounding on the thunderstorm side of things. Let me take this full screen so you guys can see this. I'll show this every once in a while in severe weather, but there's a lot of data on here, right? What you're looking at, red line is temperature, green is moisture, and you're looking, this is where we are, staying on the ground, there's where airplanes fly up here. So you're looking at the atmosphere basically tilted, right? Notice first off, this is the wind profile in the atmosphere, and look how weak it is. In fact, even our bulk shear at the moment is coming in less than 10 miles per hour. I mean, very, very weak all the way up and down the column of the atmosphere. So that tells us that if anything forms today and really tomorrow as well, it's not going anywhere, guys. It may move maybe a quarter of a mile, maybe. So if you get underneath it, it's yours, all yours. You don't have to share with anybody. However, the downdraft cape, and it may be hard to see this number, is over 1,200. That tells me that if anything does develop, that the downburst wind could be rather strong. So you can get some really strong wind gusts, not always into severe limits, but boy, it's noticeable, but it will cool you down in a big way. You'll at least cool down in the 70s, upper 70s if you get some thunderstorm action over you. But again, it's a lack of wind that will keep this nearly stationary. It's going to have to, as we say, rain itself out before you will see a change kick in for any thunderstorm action. So as you enjoy the afternoon today, hanging out by the pool, just keep an eye on those cumulus clouds. If one in particular looks like it's growing really fast next to you, you'll be able to look at it like a piece of cauliflower. And you can literally see it on days like today, actually increasing, and you can see the updraft, the heat going up in the atmosphere. Just stare at it long enough, and you'll be able to see it actually begin to change form. That is a rapidly developing thunderstorm right next to you. And it's likely going to stay in the distance, but if you're right under it, you'll know when that dark cloud gets over you. And they will contain lightning, so make sure to get inside. And it may take up to about 20, 30 minutes to allow it to rain itself out before it will collapse. So it may take a bit of time. So anyway, just want to mention that. There's the actual heat shield across the southeast corner of the country. This is looking at the Euro. Easy to pick out where that is. The high centered over basically near the Smoky Mountains. And this dome of heat basically our protector from thunderstorms. But as I mentioned, there is a weak boundary kind of in the inner core. And that's where you're getting those isolated showers and storms right along the Ohio River for today and likely even again tomorrow. We'll see what happens. It depends on how the thunderstorms behave today. But the boundary really is not going to go anywhere, so it could easily fire back up in the same exact spot again for tomorrow. So how does the rest of the week play out? Well, we get into, especially Friday into the weekend, that's when we can start to get at least some, what we call these MCSs. Thunderstorms may try to dive in here from the north at some point, the end of the week and the weekend. The exact timing still has to get worked out, but in general, it's a little bit more of a noisier signal. Some of these could be strong, all right? The severe risk is right now low only because of organized severe is not very high at the moment, but that's normal in a summer MCS pattern. You really are not going to see any type of the CSU models or anything like that really narrow that down until we get really close to the event. But I could say right now that you're going to get a few strong ones in that. Very heavy rainfall too mixed in with that. But if you're asking, is it going to rain on Saturday for your outdoor plans, your cookout? I don't know yet. Just be aware that the rain chance is going to be higher than certainly it's been all week. Will be over the weekend, especially in the afternoon hours for both Saturday and really even Sunday. But here's where we start to see that change about a week from today. This is the front that will finally move into this dome of heat and will try its best because there's a large low pressure. I can't draw on the banner, but it's up there, the Hudson Bay Low, which was around all winter and most of the spring. So it's back again. And as it gets established, it's trying to throw a front end around it because the circulation's counterclockwise going around it up here into Canada. It's going to try to throw a front around it. They'll swing on by into the Ohio Valley. That will increase our showers and thunderstorms about a week from today. But better yet, depending on how close this low is to us, remember its spin. If it can spin and get just a little bit closer to us, just slide a little bit more southwest, there is a chance it could actually give us some really nice air just in time for the 4th of July holiday. But if it stays too far away, unfortunately, it will just put us right back in the heat and the storm zone back and forth. So we need it to slide down to give us a break. And there are signs of that. And Euro's one model that indeed wants to do just that. So here it is on the 29th. Here comes the front as we head into next Monday, a week from today. This could be the peak of the thunderstorm chance will be on Monday when that front moves on by. And then you see the effect. It doesn't look dramatic, but it does drop our temperatures down. You're thinking, oh, well, how cool are we talking, Brian? Well, high temperature wise, not a ton of difference. Now, don't get me wrong, mid 80s is a lot easier than mid 90s. And the heat index would be closer to 90 instead of 100 to 105. So that's where I think you'll see improvement on the highs. But the overnight lows will have a chance to get back down into the low to mid 60s. And that, I think, makes a huge difference in a heat wave if you're able to recover at night. And this may line up just perfectly for the 4th of July holiday. Let's hope, because it didn't look that way even a week ago. All right, let me show you the entire 10-day as we get into the rest of June here. We've got 96 today, 96 tomorrow, 96 Wednesday. Hey, there's a blood drive, by the way. Don't forget, Kevin Harnon's going to be live at Oxmoor Ford for the blood drive. He'll be live for our newscast. So if you want to go out and donate and say hello to Kevin, he'll be live with the Storm Tracker Wednesday afternoon at Oxmoor Ford. Okay, so come on out there, starting about 4 o'clock, I believe. But it's going to be hot, 96 then, 96, all the way to really Friday. We get into the somewhat stormy scenario for the weekend. And again, if I had to raise any of the rain chances up in the entire 10-day, it would be Monday's rain chance. And then we'll likely see at least a small effect on getting our temperatures down for the following week. What questions can I help you all? Hey, Rick, does that blue mean cold in New York? Not cold. It just means, this is looking at the upper atmosphere. It just means that the amount of heat is lower. So it's got to look at it as high and low compared to other areas. So it's lower, and that's why it's shaded blue, but it's not cold, no. They may be, I would say, lower 80s, low to mid 80s, even for New York, which is not bad, not bad. Carrie, if you could change the pattern to weekdays, I'd probably get more camp. Yeah, I know. Yeah, if we can line it up on weekdays when we have this setup instead of stormy weather, I get it. It's been kind of a tough one for weekends for a while. But hey, we're working on it. We're working on it. Let's see. What day is Wave Day at the fair this year? Michelle says, I don't know. That's a good question. Last couple of years, it's been a Monday. I think that's right. I've done so many fairs. It's my brain is mush. We used to do it on Saturdays. I liked it on Saturdays personally, but it got switched around not long ago. All the stations I think end up switching, but I liked Saturdays. But I think it's probably going to be a Monday again, if I had to guess. Austin says, I'm grateful for no severe weather this week. We need a break. We do, Austin. We do. I know the heat is a big ordeal, and it is. Don't get me wrong. But at least you can take precautions the best you can. Sometimes severe weather can be a little bit more of a pain to deal with. But with heat, it's very easy to avoid heat issues and heat-related illnesses and precautions, as long as you just know what to do. And most people do. I mean, a lot of this is common sense stuff, but we still, unfortunately, still have stories that air every year about a child being left in a car. I still get reports of pets being left in the car with the windows up. We still have people that don't have AC access to it, and sometimes they don't let anyone know, or they don't have any relatives to tell. And we have to find those people because they will, they may not say nothing to us. They'll sit there in the heat, and we have to be aware of them. And we got to help each other out as neighbors and make sure we're taking care of everyone here. So there are things we can do as a community, but there are a lot of also common sense stuff you can do to protect you and your family and your pets that I wish we didn't have to report the negative stuff every year, but it still happens. I don't know how it still happens, but it does. So as long as that keeps happening, that's why we have to keep talking about it every single summer, because we got to make sure the message is getting out, because obviously it's not getting to everyone. What do you say, Carrie? Common sense stuff seems to be a shortage of that. Yeah, the world's getting noisy, that's for sure. Any flash flooding potential? Also, that's a good question because, again, they don't move very much. That's the thing. There is no shear. So without shear, they really can't, they don't have a tailpipe. So these thunderstorms can't really keep going and maintain themselves and breathe, and therefore can last for multiple hours in some cases. And that's what leads to more of a flash flooding risk. They will rain themselves out. So there could be minor flash flooding just because of the intensity in the 20-30 minute window, but there is a limit to them. They can't last much longer than that just because there is no tailpipe to them. So that does cut down the flash flooding potential. Now, for the setup for the weekend and to Monday, that is possible, yes, especially with the training of a northwest flow like that coming in. That's possible. We're not there yet on discussion, but if that's what you're referring to, that is where our minds are going already. Yeah. Danny, how long will this cool down last if it occurs? Well, we're going to look at that more on Wednesday. I'm getting more data tomorrow, and I'll probably have everything done for that by Wednesday. But the trend right now into July is to, let me show you a hint. Hold on. Let me back up one. Hang tight. The trend, I'm just going to draw it here, is that if we get into July, the core, the heat, you see that it's in the red, will get more established like this with that upper low in the Hudson Bay area up there to the north. And it allows for kind of a weakness riding through here. So if that's the case, a couple of things here. First off, you end up with a tropical flow that's going to be developing here on the eastern seaboard at times, but it also will keep us cooler than normal, maybe stormy at times. We may be in MCS land, a lot of thunderstorms, but I've really been hard pressed to find a lot of data that indicates the amount of heat that we have now that comes back for July. I haven't found it yet. Everything I've been finding has been lower than that. So I wouldn't say cool, but that may come at a price of it being stormy and active. Okay, let me show you the 10-day again. Hit the wrong button. Sorry about that. You get to do it twice. So anyway, guys, that's the heat story. After we get past this, then we'll hopefully get some cool weather, at least cooler, for the holiday weekend. Wouldn't that be nice? All right. Have a good time, everyone. Stay safe out there. I'll be back on midday, and we'll go through the numbers, the current temperatures at that time, and see where we stand on the heat. And we'll just take it one day at a time, right? Take care, everyone. I will see you guys coming up on the flip side at 11 a.m.